Welcome to Hubbardston Headlines, a show where we aim to bring Hubbardston to you. Today we have the honor of having the chair of the Select Board, Jeff Williams, with us. Jeff has been the chair for a little less than 3 years, and he has been serving in the Select Board capacity for 11. Jeff, thank you for joining us today, and welcome. Could you take a moment to tell the audience a little bit about yourself?
Well, thank you very much. I am a resident of the town, going on now 23 years. I'm a retired teacher, having taught at the Gardner High School and the Mount Wachusett Community College at the high school for 35 years. Married, my wife and I, we have an 18-year-old son who will be graduating this year from high school. I had been very involved with the theater and the arts program, both at the high school and at the Mount. I was one of the 3 people who started theater at the Mount back in the late 70s, and I've been involved there as an actor, director, music director, and also I've taught at the college music theory and in acting.
Interesting. Congratulations on your 11 years of service on the Hubbardston Select Board. What has kept you committed to this role for over a decade?
Well, in a nutshell, we still have work to be done and challenges to meet. Hubbardston is a growing and evolving community as we speak, and I would like to continue to be an active participant in its growth and involvement. I also like feeling useful, and I like knowing that I'm trying to actively contribute to make a difference to the town that I call home. And fortunately for me, I'm retired, which allows me to have the time to give back to my town.
Beautiful. You kind of answered this, but what would you say continues to motivate you to remain actively involved in local government?
Well, when I first ran for office 11 years ago, I basically ran on 2 platforms. I basically said I was the new and independent voice in town. At the time, I also considered as my major goals that I would be running on was supporting the educational system, being a retired teacher, as well as support and trying to be a voice for the senior element in town because I was a senior citizen, giving them a seat at the table, so to speak. I still feel strongly about both of those subjects. However, the horizons that were there then, when I first ran for office, have changed significantly, but the passion and the desires to keep fighting for what I believe in are still burning strongly inside me.
Perfect. How have you seen the town and the issues facing it evolve over the course of your time on the Select Board?
Well, we are a rural, small New England town, Massachusetts town, and the residents here over the 20 plus years that I have been here, generally speaking, do not want much to change. However, over the 11 years on the board, the demands and the needs and the requirements that are necessary to keep the town afloat, so to speak, require us as a town to change. We cannot sustain ourselves, cannot survive as a town by not moving forward, as far as I'm concerned, with the rest of the world economically and financially. They are not standing still, and I don't believe that we can afford to either. Demographically, we begin to notice now a change somewhat with young families coming into town, building their homes here, having children, wanting to get the best possible education that you can. They're also looking for affordable housing, a safe and secure place to live and raise their families.
Yes, I agree. Based on your experience, what would you identify as your biggest accomplishments or proudest moments serving Hubbardston?
Well, there have been a lot of things that we've seen over the years that have changed and we've advanced on, etc. But probably the biggest one that I've actually seen from birth, as you will, to the completion is the most recent one, our Town Center project, which was an 8-year project that grew out of, if you will, an incredible committee that had been put together for it. They were able to obtain a grant which allowed for the incredible project to be done and completed. It began as a dream and ended as a reality with very little cost to the town. The various select boards that were involved in that project, supporting them with suggestions and encouragement all along the way, and then finally seeing it, planning what is now another thing that took time is we are now beginning to see an effort to really attack the 81 miles of roads that need repair in our town. When I first moved here and hadn't gotten involved in the government, that was one of the things I first noted too, because I think the roads had been, for whatever reason, ignored or maybe not able to be repaired. But with the DPW people that we've had and who've led the program, the planning 5 years ahead of time, etc., that's another accomplishment that I'm happy to see that is happening in our town. I'm proud of the individuals that went above and beyond, as far as I'm concerned, and gave of their time and energy by serving on the various select boards that I've been an honor to have worked with them. And they all cared very deeply about their town. I'm also very proud of the present select board that I've been having the honor of acting as their chairman, and they are now just as dedicated as everyone else that I ever worked with. And I'm hoping that if things go well, that I can continue in the capacity in the future as their chairman and as a member of the select board.
Awesome. What do you see as the most significant challenges currently facing Hubbardston, and how do you and your colleagues work to address those?
Well, right off the top, and simply put, as I wrote it down, the Quabbin Regional School Department, and the challenge we have every single year, as long as I can remember, of the budget that is put forth. Every year it goes up. Understandably so, things get more expensive, but we're in a unique or a tough position because the school budget goes up on average 3 to 6% a year. I mentioned this just last night. The town's revenue, 95% plus, is just property taxes. Consequently, we're in a position where the expenses are going up, but our revenue doesn't go up to keep pace with it. Basically, we are spending more than we are taking in, and this presents a huge challenge as far as creative financing, bookkeeping, and so on. But mathematically, it's very obvious that it's unsustainable. And that's a tough thing to have to face every year, knowing that we start kind of behind the 8 ball. But we're facing the same problem. We're spending more than we're making.
Absolutely, and that is one of the top issues being faced by both the staff and the select board. So we'll see how that goes. Can you share an example of a time you had to make a difficult or unpopular decision on the select board? How did you navigate that situation?
Okay. Yeah. When I first ran for office, at the time there was a huge push by the seniors to build a senior center. They had tirelessly researched the project. It was led by a gentleman, John Nason, as well as Claudia, of course. They visited other towns, senior centers, equivalent to us in size, etc. They lobbied then Senator Steve Brewer, and they were able to get from him in the state, because he helped us greatly, $500,000 for the project, for the land, etc. And there was never a question as to did we need one or not need one. We needed major building upgrading and space from day one that I got involved. I supported the senior center project at the time, and I always have. one of the first committees I served on when I first got on the board had been formed to explore the needs of the infrastructure of all of our buildings, because you name it, they were all getting old, if you will. And then, unfortunately, when it came up to a vote, the town did not pass. So after a few years later, we tried again. And this time, there was a strong movement also for public safety complex. And the select board at that time, we knew that both projects would not have a chance at the ballot box. So it was decided by the board, by us, to combine them, link them if we were to have any chance at all. At least that was the way we felt at the time. I supported that idea, but we lost by roughly 50 votes. The seniors felt that we had kind of sold them out, that we'd pulled the rug from underneath them. This was definitely not the case, but this was probably one of the most difficult decisions for me to make, because I still believe that we need both of these buildings.
Beautiful. No, that makes a lot of sense. How do you balance the varied interests and perspectives of different stakeholders in the increasingly diverse Hubbardston community?
I try by ensuring that they all have the opportunity to voice their concerns and to know that they are being heard as well.
Absolutely. It's one of the main objectives of being a local leader, is being able to listen. I'm sure you get stopped when you go to the diner, you go all over the place.
Oh, yeah.
So, as an experienced town leader, what advice would you give others, especially younger residents who are interested in getting involved in local politics?
Well, I advise them to come on in, jump into the water. Don't let your age stop you, because we need young and new blood to keep us in touch with the now, the world of today, at least as far as I'm concerned. One thing that we do need in Hubbardston is more people to take part in the administration needs of the town as a whole. We're always asking for volunteers. Again, in last night's meeting, I made the point of saying, and I believe it totally, that we cannot survive without the volunteers who give of their time in the various committees and so forth, and on the boards. They are key to operating this town. And if people are interested, as I said, you will not be turned away at the door. You will be most welcomed. I also would like to add that to any of you who are, say, interested in possibly getting into politics, whether it be your education, college-bound people, etc., or thinking of possibly running for office, local politics is just the best place to start. According to former Massachusetts Congressman and former Speaker of the House of Representatives, Thomas Tip O'Neill, as he put it, all politics are local.
Absolutely. Beautiful. A lot of the programming on Hubbardston Public Access has people that are willing to shamelessly self-promote that residents should get involved and volunteer. So please remember to check out the town website or stop by Town Hall to find out ways that you can get involved. So back to Jeff, can you talk about your approach to ensuring fiscal responsibility for the town over your years in office?
Financially, I would describe myself as a conservative. Basic makeup of our small town, we have very limited resources, financially speaking, and it requires us to be financially responsible. In the 11 years on the board, we have had to have been very creative in our financial situations. What can be frustrating is knowing that we can't not always afford, and yet having to say no to things that we know we need. This has been kind of a delicate balancing job that I still am wrestling with on a daily basis as the select board chairman, and is our select board wrestling with.
Absolutely. How do you stay engaged and hear from residents of all backgrounds, and new and old, and just different people that live in Hubbardston?
Well, I believe by being visible, available, approachable, if you will, and transparent in all things. I like the people to know that what I say to them is the truth. And if I don't know an answer to a question that they might ask me, I will do my very best to try to get the answer.
All right. In your opinion, what are the most important qualities for an effective town leader?
Well, going back to the previous questions, besides the visibility, availability, etc., and the things that I mentioned, and transparent, I think it's also very important that you are effective as a listener to everyone. Respect what others has to say, to offer, recognizing that what may not seem important initially to us at the time that someone may be talking to you about it, it is important to them. So as, for example, as my job as the chairman, I hope that my fellow board members respect me and trust me and have confidence enough in me to feel safe in offering whatever it is that they want to say at a meeting. You have a 5-member board. There are different personalities, differing emotions and passions, and it's my job to kind of allow them to be heard, to respect what they have to say, and to the best of my ability, keep order amongst us. Guide the board, I usually say sometimes like as a referee, so the governing process can be allowed to move forward to benefit all the people in Hubbardston.
Perfect. So last question. Looking back, what has been the biggest lesson you've learned about local government?
That Rome wasn't built in a day.
Absolutely.
The governing process often grinds and moves slowly. But you want to try to always keep your eye on the ball or the end of the line, if you will. The main objective as a select board, as a board member, is to maintain the safety and well-being of all the citizens of Hubbardston. That kind of dictates everything that we do as a select board. It's daunting, it's a huge privilege and to be asked, and it's an honor, and is never to be taken lightly.
Awesome. Jeff, thank you for joining us today.
Well, thank you very much.
Those watching at home, the next episode of Hubbardston Headlines will be an overview of the annual town meeting warrant, which is scheduled to take place on June 4th at 7 p.m. at the Hubbardston Center School Gymnasium. I hope everyone will tune in for that review and to see you at annual town meeting. Jeff, thank you again. And to everyone else, have a great night.